Okay. Duff Lunden he's an NPC I made. He's actually one of the first NPCs I made a long time ago when I first started DMing. And he's gone through a lot of different variations throughout the years, but I'll tell the original version of his origin story. And he holds a dear place in my heart. Dear place in my heart. He is a bard, who's a strength bard, actually, the way I built him. I hadn't had a dex bard. And sorry, collecting myself a little bit. He is... Sorry, at the beginning. Trace myself back. I'm not cutting this out. You're just going to hear my jumbled thought processes. Last time I tried to be professional, screw it. I'm just going to be this way for this one. So, to talk about Duff, I gotta talk about Thun. Thun was an individual raised in a rather barbaric warrior clan. And this warrior clan was quite awful. This wasn't some moral quandary. They were awful. They murdered because they believed murder to be good. They stole because they thought stealing was right and it was required to fuel the clan. They destroyed, they murdered, did everything you could think that a clan of barbaric warriors would do, and they believed it was right as a part of their code of ethics. And the way they would get new recruits is that they would take children from villages from as young as possible. And they would raise them all together, and they would have people, usually women, designated to be caregivers to children. Caregiver is a term for that. But they would, raise them and teach them about, that murder is right. Stealing for the clan to fuel them is also right. And live only for the clan and live only to kill. Pretty simple, pretty much how they were raised. But they would go as far as to basically they would make kids be throat slitters. After a battle is done, they'd send the kids in to slit the throats of anyone still breathing. And that's how the kids were brought up until they were old enough to actually start proper battle. And once they would reach that age, they would have an entire batch of kids fight until there was only 2 left. And then those 2 would be the ones that get to join the clan. The rest of them have to die, have to be dead. The entire point of this is to teach them the value of their strength and the value of killing. And Thun was raised in this. And one day, Thun was ordered to do a bit of scouting. And he got to have alone time in this scouting. And he got to think a lot about his life and a lot about living this party. And ultimately, he wasn't happy. Not as happy as his peers, but he thought that it didn't get better than this. Especially with this thought that he had, this problem that he had, and that there was something that he wanted out of that he knew he wanted, but he didn't understand what he wanted. He always assumed that he just wasn't killing in the way that was right for him, is what he always thought. So he kept trying different weapons, kept kind of trying out new battle formations and all this kind of stuff revolving around battle and killing. But nothing quite filled this hole he felt in him, and he didn't understand what it was. And none of his peers seemed to have it. And so he thought a lot about this in his time alone, scouting. And he eventually found a village. And at first, he was going to go back he was just going to go straight back to his clan, tell them about the village so that they could raid it. But on his way back, he got ambushed by a bear. And the bear roughed him up, just put him to the ground, and would have killed him if not for villagers from that village coming to save him. Particularly one individual who played strange music, which seemed to drive the bear away for some reason. And so, this individual dragged Duff's unconscious body back to the village and treated him. And he actually woke up to being treated. He woke up to this strange music being played next to him. And strange noises being played next to him. He'd never heard it before. And as you could tell from my little tell there, that it is music. He was playing from a lute. Duff was playing, and the music was very soothing to him. To Duff, so soothing that it was actually healing his wounds magically. Because this individual very clearly is using bardic magic to heal him. And after he healed him, and he had enough strength to get up, Thun fucking stood straight up. He was ready to battle despite being healed, because, clearly a villager. We kill villagers, that's how it goes. But this bard, very patient, a human fellow, with red hair. He was very patient with Thun, very patient. And just kind of sat, hey man, it's okay. No one's going to hurt you, just calming him down, saying that to him. And Thun didn't understand what was happening, but he actually felt his urge to battle slip away a little bit as he was talking to him. And he actually sat down and just kind of sat there. He had never had conversations with a villager before, so he just was quiet. He did not speak once, even as much as this bard attempted to get him to speak. He never did. Never told him his name, never told him anything. And so the bard instead introduced himself as Duff Lunden. He explained that he was a bard. He explained that he uses bardic magic. Explained that he used it to save him from the bear. And also used it to heal him and to calm him down. And all the while explaining this, Thun was barely paying attention. Thun was more focusing on the music itself that was played. He kept replaying in his head. It felt right to him in a way a lot of things before just happened. And so, as he was explaining it, as the bard was explaining it, Thun pointed at the lute. Didn't say anything, just pointed at it. And so Duff picked it up and asked him if he wanted to hear more. Thun nodded, and so he did. And not only did he play for him, but because Thun seemed so enthralled in the music, he'd actually taken the time to kind of try and teach him a bit about it, show him how to play the chords a little bit. And Thun paid attention and actually attempted to play. He had actually gotten a hold of the lute. Duff had handed it to him, and he played it, and as he did, played some simple notes. It just hit him. Hit him in a way, again, like nothing else ever has. This is what Thun was meant for. This is what he loved. But as he had that feeling, it was very quickly suppressed to the point where he couldn't understand. Like it just, whoop, goes down to the bottom of his soul, because everything in his life has pointed him towards being a killer. Nothing else. And so he squashed it down. That's it. Nope, this can't be correct. But he enjoyed it nonetheless. And he took... Thun took himself a deep breath and stepped away from the lute, and he still felt pain, for magical healing could not heal some of the deeper parts of his wounds overnight. But Duff, kind of tended to him and said, well, if you want to walk around, let's have you walk about the village, meet people. And Thun just kind of went along with it because he was hungry, and he figured he'd get food, because that's all he's worried about. Get food. Current plan in Thun's head: get food, get water, get healed, and then just head back to the clan. And so that's what he did. He spent several days with Duff, with this village, with all these people, with music. And he found that this was a lifestyle that triggered something in him. It tugged on something. Made him feel things that he'd never felt before. Didn't understand them very well. He did. All these villagers were courteous. They gave him food without asking for anything. They allowed him to have shelter and sustenance without having to go through a brutal battle to have it. They spoke kind words to him without him having to swing an axe at someone's throat first. And it's just a strange experience to Thun. Something he couldn't understand. He couldn't quite understand how he felt about it all either. Then, after he got healed, and Thun left. He left. Walked away, his clan. And as he had done before, as he's always done, he told them about the village, where to find it, and their defenses and all that. Then they raided it. But Duff held the line against the clan. Being the only magic caster, or the only one capable of battle in general at this town, he could hold the line rather well against a lot of the warriors. Not forever, but he did well. In fact, the reason he finally ended up perishing, the reason why Duff finally ended up losing this battle, wasn't really because of a battle of attrition, like you might expect. Like one might expect in this situation, but rather because he noticed Thun. Said he was a part of these guys. Attempted to talk sense into him, to help, to do something. And Thun responded by cleaving his axe straight into Duff's throat while his guard was down, dropping him. Then Thun watched as the blood spilled from Duff, as the people around the village screamed, as the buildings burned, as everything crumbled around him. And this kind of life had never felt good to him. But it never felt quite as bad as it did here. Thun didn't understand. He didn't understand why it hurt so bad to do that. Thun didn't understand why he hated hearing everyone scream. He didn't understand anything. And he didn't understand why he wanted to take the loot with him either. Sure, it played nice noises, but it's not like he would do anything with that. He took it with him regardless. The others let him keep it as a trophy of sorts. And they praised him, because, Duff was a hard kill. But Thun didn't feel good. Thun didn't feel any better about this. And he ended up thinking, as he was sent on once again another scouting, as he'd done 1,000,000 times, and he sat on a rock alone with the loot, and he kind of processed everything. It took a while, but as he did, he came to understand. He came to understand why things felt bad and what the feelings he felt in the village were. He understood what was happiness. He understood that this was something else. He did not necessarily know the words right, because it's not as if these warriors would have taught him those words. But he felt these concepts and understood those concepts within himself, and knew that something needed to change, that he needed to be better, that he needed to be something better than Thun, the barbarian. That he needed to be something closer to where his heart was truly was. And maybe do something about all the horrors he's been a part of. And thus, Thun died. No one by the name of Thun walked away that day. Instead, what walked away from that rock was Duff Lunden, the bard. He miraculously survived the burning of his village. He tells the story of how he fought off the warriors and barely managed to survive. He tells the story of how he had to slay his best friend he had made. This is who Duff Lunden is. A brutal, murderer, hoping to be something better for himself, for others, and for that wonderful person who taught him he could be something better. I know I didn't tell this story perfectly, and I've gone over what I thought I was going to go over, mostly because of my struggles in speaking. My bad. But I hope you enjoyed regardless. Like and subscribe. Duff that like button. Kill it. Watch it bleed out. Alright. See you guys next time.